Hello, I am doing my journal entries. My name is Lakeisha Barnes. The first entry is about Club Pulse and what happened in Florida. That really touched me because I have a best friend who is gay and who just left Florida. So she had left a week prior to that incident. And this entry was done on June 25th. The entry is called Freedom of Choice, New Directions. With that being said, it absolutely touched me. And so I wanted to journal about that. And you see the gay flag and peace and gay colors within our heart. But also, I wanted to display Black Lives Matter. But as you see, as I'm doing Black Lives Matter, the color fades out of the words just because I think that the credibility is fading out of that movement. The representation, the perfect representation of Black Lives Matters is President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. I also wanted to do a co-ed book because I finished my first semester of grad school in the co-ed program, and I'm very proud of myself. The next is a window with money going out of it. I bought a car, and I just feel like it's just a money going out the window. Last but not least, on this entry, I have a pool and kids swimming, which is bittersweet because this is my final year working in the program that I work for, and I haven't told the kids yet. So it's a bittersweet moment, but it's pretty awesome because I have a new job coming up starting in August. My next entry is about God's timing, which is the name of this, God's perfect timing. You see the hand of God reaching down with the clocks, and they represent being patient and waiting on God. And those are the things that are very important to me. Having God's perfect timing to happen and to everything to work out in my life, which is, talking about that job that I just got and it came at the perfect time. But then on the other hand, I have a broken heart because I went through a little relationship thing and, it's a dead end road and fragile heart. And then I put this picture down here because the Black family seems to be unattainable for so many reasons. My next entry is July 2nd. It is called 30, as you see, the big 30, because I turned 30 the day before doing this entry. And I have it colorful with cupcakes and things of that nature. And it's also filled with words of friendship, family, joy, kindness, happiness, and love. And it's also filled with pictures from my 30th birthday, which was the best birthday I've had since I was a kid. Next entry is July 5th. It's called Balance and Change. As you see, this yellow represents a tightrope with a ballerina representing myself, trying to gracefully balance while holding the world on her shoulders, which represents me holding so many responsibilities within my life and family. And then also, the next page is full of leaves, and every leaf is different. It's because I see things differently now that I'm 30. Everything just seems really different and really strange. Not necessarily strange, but just really different. The next one is today's entry. We have so much going on in the world with 2 African American men being gunned down by police officers just within this last week. And so I did a little play on the pictures, and it says stop police, but then it says hate the Black family. It seems that there is a lot of that going on. These things that you see here are chains, and those chains represent what I think has been holding the African American families and African American men especially down, which is our past and some of the mindsets that we have within our culture. But we also need to realize and come together and realize there is, without justice, there will be no peace within our communities, as we have seen recently. And it also I have a picture here of a woman who looks very similar to me with an afro and very culturally significant, I think. And I'm going to talk about the journal entries. a journal assignment. I am very familiar with um, literature, especially by Maya Angelou. I became very into Maya Angelou when I was pretty young, and I read I Know Why Cage Birds Sing, Still I Rise, and Still I Rise, which is the book of poems. Very recently, I became aware of Hey Black Child by County Cullen. Sorry. Then also my 12th grade year, I'll never forget this book, Through My Eyes, which is a Ruby Bridges story. I had a teacher who had it on her desk when I was in 12th grade, and she allowed me to read it, and I fell in love with the Ruby Bridges story. And then there was this book that I read in the 7th grade. I'm not familiar with the name of it. I don't remember the name of it, but it was about a family who lived in a small wooden bungalow, and there were several generations within that household. And because of that book, and they lived in the Deep South in the 1950s, and because of that book, I became very, very interested in the civil rights era, and still am very interested in it now. Each of these books relate to me in some way. You know, it's about an African American child or an African American family who has experienced some things and and has had to endure. And now that my interest in the civil rights movement and all of that seems to eerily depict some of the things happening now. Learning about those things in the late 1990s when I was still in school and watching similar things happen now seems unreal. My journal assignment number 2 is the excerpts, and I chose W.E.B. Du Bois, 2 excerpts from W.E.B. Du Bois, and they come from Souls of Black Folk. And it says, one of the entries says, how hard a thing is life to the lowly, and yet how human and real is it? And all the life and love and strife and failure. Is it the twilight of the nightfall or the flush of some faint dawning day? The answer lies in each of us. For somewhere in your past, somewhere some 100 years ago, there rose from the smoldering ashes of slavery a proud and humble family who suffered and struggled with life, a family with found the strength to endure all the indignities of life in America, and that family had the hope for a taste of her bounties in the future. It reminds me so much of what I'm feeling right now. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same thing within the Black community that are trying to attain certain things within the American way of life, but yet are being held back from it. And there I chose 2 excerpts from W.B. Du Bois, The Soul of Black Folk, and I also chose an excerpt from Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. And with the music I would play, and I'll post a link to it, I would use Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is also called the Negro National Anthem or the Black National Anthem. This is clinical bibliotherapy to be used for African American, young or old, male or female, struggling with the issues presented in and against our community, and it brings about camaraderie, and it boasts a call to arms. The excerpt should be read aloud first, and the music should be played just before dismissal to mimic the ideals of the excerpts and to hear that the client has a voice, as the song says. And my entry number 3 is a cluster, and I'll talk about the cluster. I have police in the center. As you can see, I'm really into the Black Lives Matter movement. And one of the little arrows or the lines I'll talk about most, and it says police and it says work, because I work for the police. And it says it's livelihood and friends. But then I also have on the other end killing blacks, lives, and bullies. And I also chose to do a poem, and I'll read my poem. It says, the name of it is Our Reality. It says, how did we go backwards? I feel like my brothers are in shackles. My sisters are thrown through a loop. What is it about this group? Is it the melanin that makes our skin brown, or the fact that we can't or shouldn't enter certain towns? Or maybe it's the anger we feel about those who are supposed to protect us, gunning us down. Tea and Skittles, not for kids and giggles anymore. Just as Trayvon Martin and Mike Bell, our reality is hell. Those are my 3 entries, and I hope you enjoyed.